After a woman's husband died, leaving her a widow, you'll be shocked to discover what her son did. It's a story of struggle, compassion, and a sudden turn of events. You won't believe what happened. Watch the video until the end to know the entire story, and if you like it, leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a 12-year-old boy named Sajid, who lived with his mother and older sister in a modest 3-story house. The house had been built by his father, who had worked in a private company. His father had died suddenly 5 years earlier, at the age of 35. He was the family breadwinner, and his sudden death had created a void that no one would ever be able to fill. Sajid's mother was only 27 when her husband died. So young, she found herself alone, struggling to provide for her children. The grief over losing her husband was immense, but the weight of financial responsibilities was even more crushing. The company Sajid's father worked for gave them only 200,000 taka, about $2,000, an insufficient sum to keep going for long. And, unfortunately, no relatives or friends came forward to offer help. They say that in difficult times even relatives turn into strangers, and that's exactly what happened. Sajid's family, which had once been surrounded by people, found itself completely isolated. Everyone continued with their own lives, and no one bothered to check how they were doing. Sajid's mother, who had always been a loving and caring wife, found herself in a new and unfamiliar role. Having no one to turn to, she became the family's sole support. She spent her days crying and her nights worrying about how to feed her children. She always stayed home, trying to get by as best she could. Despite all her efforts, the money left by her husband quickly ran out. As time passed, the financial pressure became unbearable. They could no longer pay the bills, and food began to run short. Sajid's mother did everything possible to save. She cut expenses, sold everything they had, and tried to do her best in that desperate situation. But despite all the sacrifices, the money ran out within 10 months. With no other options, Sajid's mother made a difficult decision. She would have to leave the house and look for a job to support her children. When Sajid's mother left home to look for work, she confronted the harsh reality of a woman alone, struggling to support 2 children. She found her first job as a housekeeper in a home. The pay was minimal, but it was a start. She continued searching and managed to find 2 other cleaning jobs. With 3 jobs, she earned a total of 12,000 taka per month, a figure barely enough to cover daily expenses. Sajid's mother didn't give up. However, even with that small income, life remained difficult. Bills had to be paid, rent, and the children's needs met. The pressure was enormous. Half of her earnings were spent sending Sajid and his sister to school and buying them essential things, leaving her very little for everything else. Sajid, for his part, did his best to focus on his studies. Despite constant worry about food and money, he tried not to get distracted. But soon the weight of hunger and stress made itself felt. For 2 days, Sajid hadn't eaten anything. His body weakened and he could no longer concentrate. His stomach hurt and he felt dizzy. He only drank water to keep going, hoping it would help a little. Yet, while sitting in class, he felt his strength abandoning him. His vision blurred and everything around him seemed to fade into darkness. His teacher, Bilal, immediately noticed the change in Sajid. He saw the pale and weak boy struggling to stay awake and wondered what was happening to him. Worried, Bilal approached and asked him gently, "Sajid, what's wrong? Are you feeling okay?" Sajid, with great difficulty, opened his eyes and replied, "Yes, sir, I'm fine." Bilal wasn't convinced. He could clearly see that Sajid wasn't well at all, so he insisted, "Tell me really what's happening. You don't look well." Sajid hesitated, but after a moment admitted, "We don't have food at home. We haven't eaten for 2 days. I don't feel well." Bilal's heart broke hearing those words. He could see how much Sajid was suffering. Without thinking twice, he stood up, accompanied him to the teacher's lounge, and immediately called the school custodian, asking him to go to the market. He handed him money and said, "Hurry, bring something to eat for Sajid." The custodian ran to the market and, after a few minutes, returned with a hamburger and a cold drink. Bilal gave the food to Sajid and said, "Here, eat. You need to regain your strength." At first Sajid hesitated, but as soon as he took a bite of the hamburger and drank the cold beverage, he began to feel better. His head cleared and he slowly felt energy returning to his body. His vision, which had been blurred before, was now clear and, for the first time in days, Sajid felt a sense of normalcy. Bilal, still worried but relieved to see Sajid improving, asked him, "How do you feel now?" Sajid nodded weakly, finally with an expression of relief on his face. "I'm better, sir. Thank you." Bilal smiled warmly at him. "Good. Now go back to class and, after school, I want you to come see me in my office." When the bell rang, marking the end of the school day, Sajid headed to Bilal's office. He still felt a bit weak, but now he could think clearly. Arriving there, he found Bilal waiting for him. "Don't worry, Sajid. I'll help you," Bilal said, standing up. Then he placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and walked him toward his bicycle. "Come on. I'll take you to the market." Bilal pedaled with Sajid sitting behind him, and together they went to the market. Bilal bought everything Sajid's family needed: flour, rice, lentils, sugar, and other basic necessities. But he didn't stop there. He personally brought the supplies to Sajid's home. When they arrived, Sajid's mother hadn't yet returned. She worked until late at night, cleaning other people's houses, and often came back only in the early morning hours. Bilal arranged the groceries in the kitchen and then turned to Sajid. "Now don't worry about anything anymore. From now on I'll make sure your family has everything you need. I'll bring you food every month, so you can focus on your studies without having to wonder where you'll find your next meal." Sajid felt a deep sense of relief wash over him. He would never have imagined that someone outside his family could care so much about him. Bilal's kindness was like a beacon of light in the darkest period of his life. Before leaving, Bilal turned to Sajid and said, "I know it's difficult now, but focus on education. It's the key to a better future. I'll take care of the rest." Bilal's intervention wasn't an isolated gesture. He kept his promise to Sajid and his family. Every month, without missing once, Bilal sent groceries to their home. Sajid's mother couldn't believe the generosity of this man, who wasn't even their relative. Despite his modest salary, Bilal continued to help them without ever asking for anything in return. He often visited Sajid's house, making sure the family had enough to eat to get through the month. Bilal's support wasn't limited to just food. One day, when Sajid's mother returned home, she was surprised to see the kitchen full of groceries. "How did all these things get here?" she asked incredulously. Sajid, sitting nearby, replied, "It was Mr. Bilal. Every month he sends these supplies." He also talked to the school administration and had the 3 months of school fees we hadn't paid canceled. Hearing these words, Sajid's mother burst into tears. She couldn't believe that someone, without any obligation to them, had gone to such lengths to help them. Bilal's selflessness moved her deeply, and she prayed for his well-being, grateful for the immense help received in the most difficult period of their lives. Bilal's actions went far beyond what most people would have done. He truly cared about Sajid's future. He knew that the only way Sajid and his family could escape poverty was through education. Bilal encouraged Sajid to focus solely on his studies and promised he would always be by his side. Despite the difficulties, Sajid's mother was incredibly grateful, although she couldn't help feeling guilty for not being able to reciprocate Bilal's kindness. But Bilal, always humble, reassured her, "You don't need to thank me. Consider me like a brother. Helping you is the least I can do. You and Sajid are like family to me." While Sajid's mother worked tirelessly to get by, Bilal's regular support ensured they never had to worry about having food again. As time passed, Sajid's mother found a sense of peace knowing that someone was taking care of them and that her children would never suffer from hunger again. As the months passed, Sajid focused on his studies with renewed determination. He was increasingly motivated to succeed, inspired by Bilal's selfless help. Sajid began to dream of a better life, a life where he could repay his teacher for everything Bilal had done for him. Despite all the difficulties, Sajid's academic performance improved. He studied hard and began to excel in his classes. His teachers immediately noticed the change. That weak and distracted boy who once struggled to stay awake was now attentive, focused, and full of hope. But Bilal's influence didn't stop at providing food or paying school fees. He had instilled in him the belief that, no matter how hard life could be, education would always be the key to overcoming every obstacle. Sajid firmly believed that, if he worked hard, he could change his life and, in turn, help others just as Bilal had helped him. Bilal's impact on Sajid was immense. He wasn't just a teacher, but also a mentor, a guiding light in the darkest period of Sajid's life. The lessons he had imparted went far beyond the classroom, entering the very heart of the boy's life journey. Sajid, now with the courage to dream of a better future, dedicated himself completely to studying. He knew that one day he could repay Bilal in the best possible way, by succeeding and helping others in the same way. Time passed and Sajid's life began to change in ways he never would have imagined. Thanks to Bilal's constant support, Sajid could focus entirely on his studies. He put everything he had into learning, never forgetting the sacrifices his mother made and the kindness Bilal had shown him. He worked harder than ever, aware that this was his chance to build a better future for himself and his family. One day, Sajid received the news he had always dreamed of. He had been awarded a scholarship to study at a prestigious university abroad. The joy he felt at that moment was indescribable. It was as if all the difficulties he and his family had faced were finally about to end. Sajid's mother and sister were over the moon at the news. For the first time in years, they had something to celebrate. Sajid would never have imagined that one day he would be able to study abroad. It had always seemed like a distant dream, something reserved only for the rich and privileged. And yet, that dream had become reality. The university sent him a plane ticket and Sajid prepared to begin a new chapter of his life. On the day of departure, his mother and sister were by his side, both with tears in their eyes. Sajid hugged them tight and promised he would work hard to make them proud of him. Boarding the plane, he couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. From a boy struggling to survive, to a young man with a bright future ahead of him. After a long flight, Sajid finally landed in the new country. The university had arranged everything for him. Room, board, and all expenses were covered. Sajid felt overwhelmed with gratitude. He knew he was on the threshold of a new life, and all this had been made possible thanks to the support of people like Bilal. Sajid soon adapted to his new life, but he never forgot his family back home. The scholarship not only covered his expenses, but also provided him with a small extra amount, which every month he sent to his mother. He knew she was still working hard to support herself and help his sister, and he wanted to make sure she lacked nothing. Sajid encouraged his mother to stop working as a housekeeper, telling her that he could now support her. He wanted her to rest and enjoy the fruits of her sacrifice. Sajid's life was finally changing, and he felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility toward the family that had given everything for him. Over time, Sajid's financial situation improved further. He found a part-time job while studying, and the money he earned allowed him to send even more money to his mother. His hard work paid off and Sajid settled into his new life. His mother, who had once struggled to feed her children, now had the means to live a more comfortable life. She used the money Sajid sent her to renovate the house, buying new furniture and transforming what had been a simple dwelling into a real home. The family's life, once marked by worries and difficulties, was now full of hope and promise. The relatives who in the past had ignored Sajid's family, those who had never shown up when times were hard, suddenly began appearing at their door. They showed up with smiles and offers of help, as if they had always been present. Sajid bore no grudge, but couldn't help noticing how quickly people had changed now that his family was doing better. Meanwhile, Sajid's sister finished her studies and the family began looking to the future with enthusiasm. Sajid's success had become a beacon of hope for all of them, and everyone felt deep pride in what he had achieved. As the years passed, Sajid's commitment was rewarded in ways he never could have imagined. He successfully completed his degree course and received a job offer from a prestigious company in Pakistan. The offer was generous, with a starting salary of 4 lakh taka, a figure that, during his childhood would have seemed impossible. Sajid was over the moon. It was a testament to all the sacrifices he and his family had made, and he felt immense pride in how far he had come. Before leaving for Pakistan, Sajid went to buy gifts for his mother and sister. He wanted to show them how much they meant to him. The day of departure was charged with emotion. His mother hugged him tight and kissed him on the forehead, her eyes full of tears of joy. She had seen her son go from a boy struggling to survive to a successful young man with a promising future. It was a dream coming true for both of them. Sajid's first day as general manager was overwhelming. Sitting at his desk, while becoming aware of his new position and the responsibility it entailed, he couldn't help but think of Bilal. It was Bilal who gave him the chance to succeed, who helped him when he was in the darkest moment of his life. Without Bilal's kindness and unwavering support, Sajid knew none of this would have been possible. Bilal hadn't just helped him with food and school fees. He had instilled in him the belief that, no matter how hard life could be, education would always be the key to overcoming every obstacle. Sajid owed everything to that single act of kindness. Sitting at his desk, he thought he absolutely had to find Bilal and express his gratitude. He immediately arranged the office car and headed to the school where Bilal had taught. When he arrived, he discovered that Bilal had left the school a year earlier. He couldn't suppress a sense of urgency. He had to find him and thank him as he deserved. After some research, Sajid managed to obtain Bilal's address. He went to his house bringing fruit and sweets, hoping to show him his appreciation. When he saw Bilal, he was shocked. The man who had once been full of energy and vitality now appeared weak and fragile. The teacher who had helped him in his darkest moment now needed help himself. Bilal was supporting himself by giving private lessons, but years of sacrifice had weighed on him. Sajid was deeply affected. He immediately arranged medical care for Bilal and began sending food and supplies to his house every day. Sajid wanted to make sure Bilal and his family were well cared for, just as Bilal had done for him and his family when they needed it. Bilal's health gradually improved and he regained his strength. Sajid's mother, who had already formed a strong bond with Bilal's daughter, often went to visit them. Bilal's daughter, who had helped him give private lessons, was a brilliant young woman who had recently graduated. Sajid's mother immediately took a liking to her and soon Sajid's family proposed that she marry Sajid. Bilal, seeing how much respect and care Sajid's family showed toward his daughter, happily accepted the proposal. Bilal, the man who had once been the one offering help, now found himself in the position of being helped in turn. He felt an immense sense of gratitude toward God for having brought Sajid into his life. Bilal's kindness, which years earlier had been like a seed planted with love, had blossomed into an eternal bond of love, respect, and mutual support. Sajid had become a successful man not only through his own efforts, but also thanks to the incredible support received from Bilal. He realized that kindness, received in a moment of deep desperation, had made all the difference in his life. The teacher who had once been a guiding light in his darkest moments was now an integral part of his family. With his heart full of gratitude, Sajid promised to continue Bilal's legacy, helping others. He knew that one day he too would pass on that same kindness he had received, offering others the chance to change their own lives just as had happened to him. And so, the cycle of kindness, love, and support would continue, and other people would have the opportunity to transform their own existence. Friends, for today the video ends here. This was our story. Write in the comments what you think of this story.